Oh, Maron. You can probably tell by that back window that I am in something large. Doesn't get much bigger than this. Bling bling. I'm in a Cadillac Escalade, also known as Cadzilla. I feel like I'm driving my apartment. This is a big vehicle. I mean, really big. There's some captain's chairs in the back, but I mean, if it was a bench, you could probably fit about 8 people in this vehicle. And very comfortably, I will admit, as well. Escalade's one of those vehicles that's been around. It's been around for quite some time. Not nearly as long as Cadillac. Cadillac is a brand that's been around since 1902. I mentioned it in the CT5 video I just did, and one of the interesting things that a lot of people don't know is that Cadillac started as a brand from the remnants of the Ford Motor Company. It was started by 3 guys. One of them in particular, he was a really knowledgeable fellow and a bit of a badass because the guy had a goatee. And Henry Leyland is his name. And yeah, he started Cadillac with the remaining portions of whatever was left over from the first Ford Motor Company. And then from that, he ended up selling it to General Motors, and believe it or not, started yet another luxury car brand that you already know called Lincoln. So the guy knew what he was doing when it came to building cars, although Henry Ford was able to buy Lincoln from him at a song just to get him back for what he did to him with Cadillac. But at any rate, Cadillac is a brand that's got a lot of history, and Escalade's been around for really not that much of it. In its over 120 years or so, Cadillac Escalade has only been around a short while, but boy, has it ever made a name for itself. Cadillac Escalade is kind of synonymous with, well, geez, it's synonymous with a lot of things. It's kind of funny. Funny how? When you think about it, there's a lot of people in Cadillacs that you wouldn't expect. That, oh, mind your business. We got suede, we got lots of tech, lots of soft touch terminals and all that sort of stuff. Got some wood grain, leather everywhere. I mean, this is a whole lot of vehicle. And why would you need it? Well, chances are you'd rather not have to pull your boat with yet another truck or put another vehicle in the driveway, so you own a Cadillac Escalade. It's a full-frame vehicle. You can tow a lot of stuff with it. That's probably the main reason you would buy one of these things. But I gotta say, even just driving around in it a little while, you can definitely feel like a king. This is an easy car to enjoy. I mean, a really easy car to enjoy. Well, car, truck, country. This car does deserve its own postal code, yes, but at the same time, I really do think it's one of those vehicles that could surprise you. Now, we have a whole new Cadillac Escalade coming in the new year. I mean, really, I think this is pretty much the biggest vehicle I've ever driven. But that said, it actually drives quite small. Like, don't get me wrong, when you get into a parking space, you really like to use the overhead camera. When you put this car in reverse, you really have to pause for a moment and calculate where it is that you're going, because it is a mass, it is a quantity of vehicle. But that said, there's a lot of driver aids in here that are going to help you do that. And for someone like myself, who comes from a 2-door coupe, to get in a Cadillac Escalade, I got to admit, I was a little intimidated at first, because where I went and picked up the vehicle was in between 2 others, and I was immediately recognizing how big the vehicle was, but also the fact that if I'm not careful, I could hit something with this thing just in this parking lot, and I really don't want to do that. But there are so many driver aids that are going to help you right from the get-go. Again, those Cadillac features, the equipment that you get with your Cadillac is very much driver-focused, driver-oriented, and it's there to assist you. I didn't know someone was coming up from behind me, but my seat actually vibrated to let me know that someone was approaching me from that angle, which is, really great stuff. Usually you hear a tone, and most cars, that tone will come from that area. But in such a big vehicle, it's really important to know that that tone coming from the far rear right of the vehicle means that the car approaching is coming from that angle, because, well, you kind of have a postcode or a zip code to look after in this thing. It is, once again, a large vehicle. You could definitely fit a lot of bodies in this thing. I mean, there's certainly taxi drivers, limo drivers that drive people around. What do they drive them in? They drive them in this, because you can drive someone and many, many, many other people in this vehicle. I mean, it's such a large vehicle, but it doesn't feel that big. I'm actually kind of surprised. I mean, when I took it from its parking space, and I got to thank the folks over at Applewood for letting me try out this Cadillac Escalade. I do feel like a king in this thing, I gotta say. And when I first got into it, I was in a parking space which seemed obviously very small. This is a very large vehicle. I'm a tall fella. I can usually reach over and touch the door lock or let someone in from a car. I am nowhere near doing that in this vehicle. vehicle. This is huge. And a lot of people ask that question, like, why? Why such a thing? Why would you own a Cadillac Escalade? Well, first and foremost, why not? But a lot of people do buy them for the reason that they are basically a truck in a suit. But at the same time, what else would you want a Cadillac Escalade for? Well, the sheer bling factor is pretty incredible. There's lots of switches and knobs and tech and leather and suede and, well, certainly room for the whole family. I mean, anybody can take their 2.1 children in this vehicle on a camping trip. In fact, really, if you just wanted it as a space to live in, you could probably do that as well. This is a very large vehicle and obviously not the easiest vehicle to have in a tight, big city location. But actually, the short body is not as big as you might think of it. There is a long body as well. But this Cadillac Escalade that I'm driving right now, I can totally see how someone would get in this and just feel like they're, whatever, the boss. Funny how